Hey there, I'm Julie, and this is the Married to Addiction podcast. If you're here, then you're probably what I call my secret sister. We're in a situation we never asked to be in and fighting a battle we never wanted to fight. We're faith-filled women who are married to an alcoholic, and it affects every inch of our lives. If that sounds like you, then this is a safe place for you to land. Married to Addiction is a faith-based podcast where I help you find the tools and strength you need to navigate your husband's addiction without losing yourself in the process. So please subscribe and tune in as often as you can, because your husband's recovery is important, but so is yours. Hey, before we get started with today's episode, I wanted to let you know that there's a really cool thing that's been added to the Married to Addiction website. So as you probably have seen, if you have been here for any length of time, sometimes the things that I offer will change. Sometimes the freebies will change. Sometimes the program offerings will change. Just like with anything, over time, things evolve, right? Well, it's kind of been a little bit challenging to keep up with that up until now as, a listener and or a website visitor, because you would just go there looking for something and it would just be gone and you were wondering, okay, what the heck? Well, what else is there? There is now on the Married to Addiction website an everything page. Basically, what the everything page is going to be is it will list in real time everything that I'm currently offering. The free offerings, the paid offerings, all of it. So you can always head to that page, and I want you to bookmark it so that you have it ready at any given time to see what's currently available. Be sure that you do check in regularly because, like I said, things shift, things change. There might be things on there right now that you don't even know that I offer. So please go check that out. You just go to marriedtoaddiction.com, and at the top of the website or on your little menu bar, if you're on mobile, you will see a tab that says everything, and in parentheses, start here. Just click right there and you'll be on your way to finding out everything that Married to Addiction currently has to offer. Hello, and welcome in to episode 95 of the Married to Addiction podcast. Today's episode is called The Sound of Silence. So today we're going to talk about the concept of silence, particularly how to best utilize it in our relationship with our alcoholic husbands, and also when it should not be used. So first, let's talk about a couple different ways that we can use silence in our relationships. The first way, and the way that I honestly used to use it most often with my husband when he was deep in addiction, is using silence as a weapon. So this is when we just stop talking because we're mad. We are angry and we just shut down and stop talking. So in this instance, very often, and this was the case with me, we are using silence to punish the other person. Now, sometimes it might instead be that we don't want to say something we regret, which that's good. Although that was not the case in my situation. I wasn't really too worried about saying things that I regretted, and I said a lot of things that I regretted. But what I'm talking about is refusing to talk to someone because you know that refusing to talk to them is going to annoy them, is going to frustrate them, and you're choosing not to talk to them for that reason. So you're using silence as kind of like a punishment or a weapon. The second way we can use silence, which is much healthier, is to maintain our peace. And this one is really important. So the goal with using silence in this way is that you are not volunteering for a conversation that's going to just end up destroying your peace for maybe the rest of the day, maybe a couple of days, maybe the rest of the week. I know that I was in that position a lot. So in this case, we're choosing by being silent in that moment to not get on the roller coaster of addiction and emotion, to not enter the ring of chaos, and to just instead decide my peace is more important than what I feel like I need to say right now because I'm mad, frustrated, whatever. I remember thinking to myself after my husband and I would have a giant knockdown, drag out fight. Well, that certainly wasn't fun, but maybe it'll make him think about his drinking, or maybe it'll make him drink less for the next couple of days. It didn't. A lot of times it would just be used as an excuse. Well, since you're being a such and so, I'm going to go drink, or I'm going to go buy more alcohol, or this is what makes me drink when you attack me like this, like those types of things. It didn't make him cut back. It didn't make him, decide that, oh, well, she's really mad, so I should. That's not how an alcoholic brain works. That is not how it works. All that happened after we would have those big blowups, after I said what I felt like I needed to say in that moment and destroyed my peace, is it would just make me feel horrible for the next couple of days. I would carry it to bed with me and not be able to sleep. I would carry it to work with me the next day and not be able to focus on my work. I would carry it into my parenting, and I would be, short with my kids or my friends or whoever, because I was carrying this around because we had this big giant thing, because I decided that it was more important to speak out in that moment than to maintain my peace. That being said, staying silent is not appropriate in all situations. Yes, silence should never be used as a weapon by you, but it should also never be used as a weapon against you. And what I mean by that is, if you are just staying silent all the time to keep the peace without having boundaries in place, without knowing, when you need to speak up for yourself, without having anything in place to protect yourself and your kids if applicable, that's not okay. You must do the things you need to do to protect your well-being. And sometimes that will be staying silent, as I just said, but that almost never equates to staying silent all the time. And if you feel like it does, if you feel like you need to stay silent in your situation all the time, you most likely don't feel safe in that situation, and you need to reach out for help to get out of that situation. You should never be in a situation in which you feel like you can never, ever express yourself out of fear. Now, there are times when, the husband is in a drunken moment and we just decide that we're not going to say something because we just know it's not going to end well, as I just talked about. But this is a different type of situation. If you're in a situation where you feel like you just can't ever say anything because you're afraid, that's different. And you need to get some help to get you out of that situation, because that is more along the lines of abuse and control. So just make sure that if that sounds like you, that you are doing what you need to do to protect yourself. So there are times when a conversation does need to happen. There are also good and bad ways to have that conversation, for sure. In fact, I have an entire lesson about that in the Secret Sister Circle, my group coaching program for wives of alcoholics, because there are definitely some nuances to conversation that are going to help you to be, or help the conversation to be better received when you are dealing with somebody who is in active addiction. But you need to be able to differentiate between those times when those conversations actually do need to happen and those times when the conversations will be completely futile. So let me give you a little bit of a tip that you can go by all the time. If your husband is drunk, don't have a conversation. By and large, that is a general rule that you can almost always follow, because a drunk person cannot be reasoned with. A drunk person is not reasonable in that moment. They're not going to hear you. They're going to have their defenses up, and they may not even remember the conversation. And it may end up just ramping things up to where, they end up escalating their behavior because they're drunk and because now they're angry and feel like they've been attacked. So almost never is a good idea. It is a good idea to have a conversation with a person who is inebriated, just FYI. So that is the couple of ways that you can use silence in your relationship with your alcoholic husband, and also with the little side note that if you feel like you can never speak up, that's a problem. I want to make sure that you are clear on that. So in short, silence used as a weapon is bad. Silence used to protect your peace is good. I hope that's been helpful for you. Thanks so much for listening. I'll see you next time. Hey, one more quick thing before I let you go today. Do you follow Married to Addiction on either Instagram or Facebook, or both? If not, I would love to have you join me over there. It's a great place to stay connected with everything that's happening with Married to Addiction. I post updates about my podcast episodes, of course. I post about my freebies. I post about my programs. I post encouragement in the way of Bible verses and things like that. I also post just like some helpful little teaching nuggets sometimes too. So I really think that you would get a lot of value out of that as the wife of an alcoholic, and I would love to have you join me on either Facebook or Instagram, or both. You can find me at facebook.com/married to addiction, or just at married to addiction on Instagram. I hope to see you there.